Hello and welcome to the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. I'm your host, Jeff Harvie, registered migration agent with Down Under Visa, the premier Australian migration agent in Manila, Philippines, specialising in visas for Australian Filipina couples. We hope you enjoy this podcast and hope it proves useful to you. Please feel free to share this with your partner and with any of your interested friends. Let's get started. Sponsored parent visas are here. Now, the ideal solution for bringing your parent or parents from Philippines to stay with you for a long time, they can stay for 3 years or they can stay for 5 years, and sponsored parent visas may be renewed again, making it possible to have your parents to stay for 10 years. Now, we all know too well what this will mean to young parents, including Australian Filipino couples struggling with 2 jobs and daycare issues. Now, I know, as I've been there myself, I know what it's like in Australia. I know how difficult it can be. What could be better than having your parent in your home as you would back in the Philippines? You're probably quite aware that, and those of you who are married to Filipinas, you would be aware that in the Philippines having family close means a great deal. People don't do a lot of things by themselves. They go somewhere, they take somebody with them, and it's usually a family member. It's usually a sister or a cousin or whoever. And at important times, certainly when it comes to giving birth, anything to do with child rearing, well, invariably parents are involved. So the Filipinas out there listening, you will know this already. Any Australians involved with the Filipina, well, if you haven't figured this one out, well then about time that you did. Okay, sponsored parent visa. What is it? Now, look, it's a temporary parent visa. I'm worried I'm going to say partner visa somewhere along the way. Forgive me if I do. It's a temporary parent visa. At this stage, there is no linking it to a permanent visa, but in most cases, Filipino parents want to spend their time visiting and helping raise their grandchildren, and that means to be there for the formative years when they're young and in need of a lot of hands-on care. And this visa has 2 options, 3 years and 5 years, and this again may be doubled again for a maximum stay of 10 years. Now, unlike the conventional parent visa, which is meant to be eventually a permanent visa, it doesn't have any balance of family test. Now, a balance of family test means that it needs that the majority of the siblings are there in Australia. So, mum's had 5 kids. Well, then, if 3 of them are in Australia, you do fine. If 2 of them are in Australia, 1's in the US, and 2 are back in the Philippines, then you don't do fine. Look, it's something that works quite well with Chinese families and 1 child because it's pretty easy. How many of the children are in Australia? 1. How many children are there in total? 1. Well, it doesn't work so well with large Filipino families. But in this particular case, it means you or your spouse can be the only one of mum and dad's kids who left the Philippines, and that's perfectly fine. And yes, it is pricey. I won't kid you about that. And look, the government are profiteering, no question about it. However, as I will explain, despite that, it's still a win-win situation. You can get, your head all locked up around this and say that's an outrage, and yes, it certainly is. However, there is a great deal to be gained, and sometimes you just got to bite your tongue and accept that that's the way it is. I mean, people a few years ago would have freaked out if they thought that a partner visa would cost them $7,000 plus. Well, we haven't had any reduction in spouse numbers because, end of the day, okay, it's profiteering, but you still want your wife there and you're going to pay it anyway. And even though it is expensive, I certainly think it's a win-win situation for most people. And it means that you don't need a spare $50,000 plus for a permanent partner visa option, which is, look, I suppose it's explainable because eventually the government is going to spend far more than 50 grand in taking care of your mum's health on Medicare, etc. So the reasons for it, but it's a lot of money to have to come up with. But anyway, back to the visa. Now, you need to earn a good income between the two of you for the temporary parent visa, and you need to provide health insurance for your parents while they're in Australia. And sponsor needs to be of good character with no history of violent crime. And mum and dad need to be of good character and in good health too. And all of this, of course, is common sense, and look, it's achievable by most people, I think you could say. Especially working couples. Yeah, it's affordable, and I'm sure you'll see this. So why is the parent visa great value for Filipino parents? Australian Filipino parents, I should say. Because Australia has an issue with childcare. Now, when I was a kid, way back when, mum stayed at home, but those were the days when an Aussie factory worker could have his quarter-acre bit of suburbia over the hills hoist and a lemon tree and a sprinkler for the kids to play under in summer and a place to park his second-hand E.J. Holden. Mum vacuumed, washed, cooked and shopped and played tennis with the girls on Thursday, and she was home before you came home from school, so you never had to let yourself into the house. But look, this was life in Australia prior to, I guess, the 80s, you'd say. Then the house cost a whole lot less then, and Australian people were quite happy with 5-row cottages too. No one I knew anyway. Then again, grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney. A Westie, wasn't rich. Most people lived in 5-row cottages. The people who we thought were extremely well off had brick houses, my goodness. No one I knew took overseas holidays. No one had boats, no one had in-ground pools. Occasional lucky kid who suddenly gained a great deal of friends had the above-ground plastic pool in the back that his dad installed. But yeah, I didn't know anyone with a house with stairs. I didn't know anyone with 2 cars or 2 TV sets. I tell the kids that we had one TV set with 2 remote controls, my brother and myself. Our life was cheaper, and therefore childcare was able to be provided by mum, and that was pretty much what was expected. And if mum wanted to get a job, dad would say, "No wife of mine's working, everybody will think I can't take care of my family." That was the standard thing, back in the 70s. So, not today. Most suburban houses in Australia cost more than $500,000, and that means 2 parents must work to pay this off. Now, babies come along and the real stress starts because, everything else doesn't suddenly change. And I think a lot of our clients will notice that Filipino ladies seem to be a remarkably fertile lot, and you have to look at them the wrong way and they get pregnant. Babies come along, and so they should. But yeah, that's when the stress starts, when you still have those expenses. Paying the mortgage versus providing a safe and healthy upbringing and environment for your precious kids. It becomes a bit of a struggle. Taking them to and from daycare centres, that means, rush in the morning, having to bundle up kids and, bags of everything they need and changes of clothes for those little accidents and what have you. And, heading off to daycare centres, dropping them off, signing them off, kissing them goodbye before racing off to the car and dealing with the howling child. Had to do that. Had to do that ourselves many years ago. It wasn't pleasant. And leaving them with people that you don't know or trust. I didn't elaborate much on this when I was writing this, but I will elaborate here. Look, it's okay. I'm in the Philippines. It's a different matter. Childcare isn't expensive, but you can get people to come in, take care of your kids. Look, what we have, we're past the, getting pregnant and making our own babies stage, but we have a house full of kids because we find a lot of kids who are in need of a good home, and we can provide that good home. We've got young Maggie who. I'm going to talk to Maggie in a short while. She arrived here when she was 6 weeks old. And we've got young Megan she's 4.5 months old now. They need somebody to take care of them. Look, we had issues, particularly with Maggie. We learnt along the way when it's come to Megan, but we had people who did not take care of her as well as they really should. My daughter Remy has a baby, and we got rid of somebody who worked for us recently because, look, there were a few suspicious circumstances, and look, honestly, we have staff here who cook and clean and do all that sort of thing. Look, if the bathroom isn't clean, it's not the end of the world, but you expect your kids to be taken care of properly, to be fed properly, cleaned properly, cared for properly. You don't want to find you've got a helper who decided for themselves your child doesn't need their antibiotics anymore, so therefore they're going to stop. We've had stuff like that. And I came out finding a helper feeding Maggie spam and rice once. I just about exploded. I was very, very, very unimpressed. I said, my goodness, I expect my children to be fed healthy food, not rubbish like that. But yeah, anyway, okay, enough of my rave. But that's the issue with leaving them with people that you don't know. And of course, paying the childcare bill. Now, Mum needs to earn a substantial salary to pay what may be, a $500 a week childcare bill. And I'm just looking it up on the net and seeing that's a fairly conservative estimate. I'm not up on whether there are fee relief or anything like that you can get, but you still need to shell out a fair old bit of money to do this. And if you had somebody, in the house who was taking care of your children to make it mean you didn't have to drop them off anywhere, well, I think you find it would cost more than that. But yeah, she's got to make enough money to cover that and still have something left over to pay the mortgage, to make it worthwhile for her going to work at all. But look, that's the reality. And yeah, it means packing the kids up in the car, dropping them off where they probably don't want to be, racing to collect them every afternoon after work, and then getting home exhausted, only to need to cook dinner and get the kids bathed and in bed and trying to act like a normal, proper family. But yeah, on a slightly lighter note, I've got Maggie here who wants to talk to you all. I'm just going to ask young Maggie here some questions because Maggie is a small child. Are you a small child, Maggie?
Yes.
How old are you, Maggie?
5 years old.
Right. Now tell me, okay, imagine during the day, who takes care of you?
Ate Chinchin and Gina.
Would you like it if you're taken care of by somebody who you know and loves you a lot?
Yes.
Or would you like it if it was somebody you don't know?
I don't know. It's the people who's there knocking on our door.
But if they were somebody you didn't know, would you be happy?
Yes.
Are you sure about that? Okay, just imagine you don't know who the person is. You have a choice. Somebody who you know, who loves you, like mum, dad, or your lovely sister Chin Chin, or a complete stranger. Would you want the complete stranger to take care of you?
No, 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 no.
You're absolutely sure of that? Absolutely sure?
No.
You're not sure? You are sure?
No.
Okay, but I think we've probably got the answer. Thank you, Maggie. You say bye. Never a dull moment in the Harvie household, as you can probably gather. So, parent visas versus parent in your home. Now, just imagine if your kids got to stay in their own home with someone you trusted, someone who actually loved them, and if your day ended by arriving home to a clean house, complete with clean kids and yummy smells coming from the kitchen. Bliss, right? So, if this is something which is of interest to you, suggest getting an assessment done. Now, most likely it can be done. As explained, it's not actually that difficult. And most of all, remember that this is a long-term arrangement. It's not just for a holiday, it's not just for a trip. Your parent can be there for at least 3 years. 3 years, 5 years, or up to 10 years. And in other words, during those difficult times when you really do need you taking care of kids properly is a hands-on thing. Okay? So, get an assessment done. But the alternative is to try to get mum from the Philippines on a tourist visa. It's a whole lot cheaper, yes, but she won't be able to stay more than 12 months in any 18-month period. And that means for, she could be there for 12 months, but then for 6 months you've got nobody there, and you try and explain that one to your boss, why you need to, not work or, take a 6 months break from your job. In most cases, if you can take a 6 month break, well then they don't need you at all. And also look at the cost of daycare for your kids, what it would cost you over a year, multiply that out, the weekly cost multiplied by 52 weeks, and then multiply that by the next 5 years and see what it actually comes up with, and you compare that with the cost of getting a temporary parent visa, and you decide whether you think it's good value or not. And then, spend 5 minutes or less getting a free assessment done, and then you decide if that's something you want to do. Thanks very much. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Down Under Visa Philippines to Australia podcast series. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope you found this useful. Australian visas from the Philippines are not easy, and the outcome matters, as you well know. Please feel free to contact us anytime if you need some further help. And we look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye-bye.